I love jeans. All I wear are jeans.
Sydney Sweeney had 4 movie flops in 2025, and people are saying it's her fault. But what exactly is happening? Be sure to hit the subscribe button before we dive into the crazy controversy. The background. Let's rewind a bit earlier. Sydney Sweeney wasn't always the controversial figure that the media and fans portray her to be. Her beginnings were humble because she was just another regular actor grinding through the tough terrains of Hollywood while taking part in small roles on shows like Grey's Anatomy and Pretty Little Liars.
I mean, she'd have to be like dead first.
It wasn't until Euphoria was a major success in 2019 that the female actress got such a huge bump in her fame that even she wasn't expecting. That's where everything changed. Sydney Sweeney played Cassie, and she became the big star that everyone just couldn't stop talking about. Then, in White Lotus, in 2021, she was seen everywhere from red carpets to magazine covers, and even had many brand deals that even Sydney Sweeney didn't know she'd be having so early on in her career. From Armani Beauty to too many jeans companies, which is going to be one of our main topics in today's video. She was already a Hollywood girl, but this poses a very interesting question. Who are Sydney Sweeney's fans mostly? You see, mostly young women who saw her as a relatable, talented, and very interesting personality for those who loved the Hollywood actress. These fans mainly connected with her through her Euphoria character and even supported her other projects, which is how it goes in Hollywood. However, amidst her erupting fame, something bad happened. Something that, once it shifted, it changed Sydney Sweeney's whole career. Now, let's rewind back to August 2022, when photos of Sydney Sweeney's mom's 60th birthday party surfaced, showing guests wearing red hats that said, "Make 60 great again." This was a clear indication of Trump's MAGA slogan. This was quite controversial because a lot of people were anti-Trump at that time. What made matters worse was how someone was even spotted wearing a blue Lives Matter shirt. It was much more complex than today. However, Sydney brushed it off, saying that people had no idea what they were talking about and were just making assumptions about her. Most fans also gave her the benefit of the doubt, and maybe it was just weird family members because, truth be told, we all have them. But if we look back to the patrons, that was where the cracks started to show. Recent Bathwater controversy.
Hello, you dirty little boys. Are you interested in my body? Watch. Well, you can't have it. Because this isn't for boys, it's for men. And real men don't use cheap commercial body washes labeled by the FDA as a synthetic cleanser.
Moving forward to May 2025, things got worse. Sydney partnered with Dr. Squatch to sell soap bars that contained her actual bathwater. Yep, you certainly heard that right. Those soap bars contained her bathwater and soap. That's where the internet went wild, but not in a way we would expect. People started calling her desperate, pathetic, and anti-feminist. But Sydney always defended herself by pointing out the double standard. She said that when her Euphoria co-star Jacob Elordi's bathwater was featured in Saltburn, girls loved it. She did have a point about the hypocrisy, but the damage to her was already done. This is because her female fan base, which was with Sydney Sweeney from day one, felt a bit alienated and ignored with this act. It was more like a fan service, but only for men. So far, we've discussed only 2 of her controversies, and it already seems like there's a whole essay we could have written about them. But things got much darker from here. American Eagle controversy.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Yep, you've got that right. We're talking about July 2025, and everything exploded. American Eagle launched an ad campaign with Sydney Sweeney that initially got a big boost. Very soon, people realized it was much more than just an ad. The tagline of the ad was that Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. Sounds like cute wordplay, right? Well, wrong. In one of the videos, Sydney delivered a monologue playing on the word genes, saying, "Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
This was her referring to her beautiful blue eyes. While a lot of people didn't have an ounce of problem with this one, it sparked a whole new debate over the internet. However, moments later, the internet immediately caught what many saw as eugenics messaging. This ad was basically a recreation of a controversial 1980 Calvin Klein campaign, which starred one 5-year-old Brooke Shields, who was criticized for sexualizing a minor. People got furious about American Eagle promoting white supremacy. But what they couldn't believe was why Sydney Sweeney engaged in racist propaganda. But things didn't stop there because it was just the beginning. This ad came out at a time when the Trump administration was targeting diversity programs and immigrants. At first, the American Eagle tried damage control, saying that the campaign was only about genes, not genes. But they lost a lot of trust. But there's also this one social media corner that praised Sydney Sweeney for her behavior because a lot of white people who were oppressed for speaking their minds had just received a good woman who was speaking for them. Republican registration controversy. And if you thought her controversies ended here, you'd be dead wrong. Because right in the middle of this chaos, someone dug up Sydney's voter registration. According to public records, she registered as a Republican in Monroe County, Florida, on June 14, 2024. This was months before the American Eagle ad dropped. Everything fell into place for the critics because of the MAGA party, the interesting ad, and the people around her. It wasn't coincidental anymore. Even President Trump himself praised Sydney for being a Republican and said he liked the ad. Trump even said that if she actually registered as a Republican, her ad is fantastic. The American right embraced Sydney Sweeney as its new symbol. Thousands of reels went crazy over social media with posts saying, "Make white great again," or "I am proud to be white." This also gave birth to European politicians saying that they're proud to be white and allowed them to push their propaganda of pushing immigrants away. Now, I am not going to get too political here because there are two sides to the coin. So let's just keep our focus on Sydney Sweeney. But amongst this whole controversial, fame-amplifying era of Sydney Sweeney, something was wrong. Her core fan base, the Euphoria viewers, or the young progressive women, felt betrayed. And before moving to that one interview that made everything worse, I would like you guys to subscribe to the channel if you love Hollywood drama videos. The GQ interview and box office massacre.
Is there something that you want to say about the ad itself? The Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Do you have...
The ad spoke for itself.
You think the ad spoke for itself?
Yeah.
Okay. And the criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority.
The new boxing biopic of Christie just dropped in November 2025. And that's when Sydney also sat down for a GQ interview. This was her one chance to address everything and clarify everything, and maybe even gain some goodwill, but she didn't. However, the interview was a double-edged sword for her. The interviewer kept on instigating the argument by making sure that Sydney spoke about her recent controversies, namely the blue jeans ones. But then Sydney said that she thinks that when she has an issue, and she wants to speak about it, people will hear. She even said that the reactions from Trump and Vice President JD are both surreal. In other words, she was given many opportunities to denounce the white supremacy charges against her and to defend herself from those eugenics accusations. However, Sydney still chose silence. This could be a way for her to boost her fame further, or she actually thinks that the white race is superior. In the interview, she even stated that she knows who she is, who she values, and that she is a kind person. This answer disappointed many people. Then came the opening weekend for the movie Christie. But even disasters don't begin to describe what happened here.
The movie opened to just $1.3 million across more than 2,000 theaters, ranking as one of the worst starts for a movie ever released. For reference, it earned less money than a Zachary Levi movie in 2025. which is just rough and sad. But it gets even worse. Christie was Sydney's third consecutive box office flop in 2025, following the movie Americana, which just made under $500,000, and Eden, which turned a $35 million budget into a measly $2.5 million profit.
4 movies and 4 flops a year. This is something that even Sydney Sweeney never expected. To make up for it or to cope, Sydney responded on Instagram that sometimes we don't make art for numbers but just for impact. And Christie has been the most impactful project of her life. She even said that the movie raised a lot of awareness for domestic violence, and said that even if it gave one woman the power to speak out for herself, then it's a complete success. Even though the message here was noble, the numbers don't lie because people just weren't showing up for the movie. But why would this happen even if there are people supporting her on different social media platforms and defending Sydney in the comments section? The identity crisis. Remember the time when we said that the core fan base of Sydney Sweeney was her Euphoria female fans? Moving forward to 2025, Sydney seems to be going through an identity crisis, or maybe even a calculated rebrand that has refired her in ways she didn't expect. Her original fan base was from Euphoria, which was a progressive show that tackled everything from sexuality, mental health, social issues, and identity issues. Those fans were mostly young, liberal, and wanted a lot of freedom in their life. They saw Sydney as one of them. But when Sydney started making moves, suggesting she was from a different crowd, she lost a lot of credibility. Sydney even started dating Scooter Braun in 2025, who was the controversial music manager famous for his feuds with Taylor Swift. All the controversies returned. And films like Christie also failed. You see, Christie was a movie about a lesbian boxer surviving domestic violence. Sydney had to gain approximately 30 pounds of muscle for the role, and look drastically different. Since she was slowly falling more and more into her past role, who did she actually think was going to watch the movie? Would it be her old progressive fans that already left the scene? Or her new conservative admirers who don't even care a single ounce about stories revolving around the LGBT characters and domestic violence? In other words, Sydney Sweeney fumbled because she couldn't gain a loyal audience in both directions. While her views were controversial, it seems like she wanted to garner her old fan base back, which she just couldn't. Ruby Rose, who was originally supposed to play a supporting role in Christie, before Sydney's involvement, even publicly said that Sydney was the cretin who ruined the film and said that the role Christie deserved better. But not everything is negative here. American Eagle saw its stock jump by 33% in September 2025, and the brand also gained 142,000 Instagram followers in just 30 days after that campaign. But for Sydney, the flops didn't give her much, and not even one of the films could go to a larger scale. Sydney Sweeney became more of a controversial figure, and today, she doesn't know who her real audience is. Do you think Sydney Sweeney is officially canceled? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for a deeper dive into Hollywood drama.